In the autumn of 1941, a German journalist sat in the Nazi embassy in Tokyo, drinking beer with high-ranking German diplomats and Japanese officials. They trusted him completely. He wore a Nazi party badge. He had personal letters from Hitler's inner circle. But Richard Sorge was not a loyal Nazi. He was a Soviet spy. And he was about to pass along intelligence that would change the course of World War II. On October 14, 1941, he sent an encrypted message to Moscow. Japan would not attack the Soviet Union. Instead, Japan was planning something else, something that would bring America into the war. Stalin ignored him. 6 weeks later, Japanese planes attacked Pearl Harbor. Sorge had been right, but by then he was already in a Japanese prison cell, awaiting execution. Richard Sorge was born in 1895 in Baku, Russia, to a German father and Russian mother. His family moved to Germany when he was 3 years old. When World War I began, Sorge volunteered for the German army. He fought on the Western Front and was wounded 3 times. He earned the Iron Cross for bravery. During his long recovery in military hospitals, he read Marx and Lenin. The horror of the war had radicalized him. He became convinced that capitalism and imperialism had caused the slaughter. After the war, he joined the German Communist Party. He participated in the failed German Revolution. He became a true believer in communism and the Soviet Union. He earned a doctorate in political science. He taught at universities. On the surface, he was a respectable academic and journalist. But in 1924, Soviet intelligence recruited him. He became a spy for the GRU, Soviet military intelligence. His cover would be perfect, a German journalist and academic with impeccable nationalist credentials. In the early 1930s, as the Nazis rose to power, Sorge joined the Nazi Party. This gave him credibility and access. Few suspected that a decorated German war veteran and Nazi Party member could be working for Moscow. In 1933, Soviet intelligence gave him his most important assignment. Go to Japan, build a spy ring, find out Japanese military intentions, report everything. Japan was the Soviet Union's greatest threat in the East. Stalin needed to know, would Japan attack Siberia, or would it expand south into China and the Pacific? The answer would determine whether Stalin could move his armies from the east to fight Hitler in the west. Sorge arrived in Tokyo in September 1933, posing as a German newspaper correspondent. He had credentials from major German newspapers and personal recommendations from Nazi officials. Within months, he had penetrated the German embassy. The German ambassador considered him a trusted friend and advisor. Sorge attended diplomatic parties, read classified cables, and befriended military attachés. He also cultivated Japanese contacts. He was charming, intelligent, and spoke fluent Japanese. He drank heavily with Japanese officials and journalists, extracting information while appearing to be just another hard-drinking foreign correspondent. But Sorge did not work alone. He built one of the most effective spy rings in history. Hotsumi Ozaki was his most valuable recruit. A respected Japanese journalist and advisor to Prime Minister Fumimaro Konoe, Ozaki had access to the highest levels of Japanese government. He was also a secret communist sympathizer. Max Clausen was the radio operator. A German communist, he built and operated the radio equipment that transmitted messages to Moscow. Branko Divotkolic was a Yugoslav journalist who provided additional cover and recruited sources. Miyagi Yotoku was an artist and painter who served as courier and information gatherer. Information flowed from cabinet meetings, military planning sessions, and embassy briefings directly to Moscow. For 8 years, from 1933 to 1941, they operated undetected. They sent thousands of pages of intelligence to the Soviet Union. By 1941, Japan had been at war with China for 4 years. The question was, where would Japan strike next? The Soviets feared a Japanese attack on Siberia. There had already been border clashes. The Japanese Kwantung Army in Manchuria was powerful and aggressive. Then, in June 1941, Hitler invaded the Soviet Union, Operation Barbarossa. 3 million German troops poured into Soviet territory. Stalin faced catastrophe. German armies were advancing on Moscow, but he had to keep massive forces in the east in case Japan attacked. He desperately needed to know Japanese intentions. Through his contacts in both the German and Japanese governments, Sorge pieced together the answer. Through Ozaki, he learned that Japanese leaders were divided. The army wanted to attack north into Siberia, but the Navy wanted to move south, seizing oil-rich territories in Southeast Asia. Through the German embassy, he learned that Hitler was pressuring Japan to attack the Soviet Union from the east, opening a second front. But in September 1941, Emperor Hirohito and the Japanese cabinet made their decision. They would move south. They would seize British and Dutch territories. They would attack American bases in the Philippines. On October 14, 1941, Sorge sent his most important message to Moscow. In subsequent messages, he reported Japanese military preparations for a major operation in the Pacific. He passed along information about Japanese naval movements and planning for a surprise attack on American forces. But Stalin did not trust him. Stalin was paranoid about deception. He suspected the intelligence was a German trick to make him weaken his eastern defenses. For weeks, Stalin hesitated. While Sorge was sending his warnings to Moscow, Japanese counterintelligence was closing in. Japanese authorities had detected unauthorized radio transmissions. They could not decode them, but they knew someone was operating a clandestine radio in Tokyo. They began surveillance operations. They watched foreigners. They monitored suspicious individuals. In September 1941, they arrested Miyagi Yotoku, the artist in Sorge's network, on unrelated charges. Under interrogation, he eventually broke. One by one, Japanese police arrested members of the spy ring: Max Clausen, Branko Divotkolic, Hotsumi Ozaki. On October 18, 1941, just 4 days after sending his final warning about Japan's southern strategy, Japanese secret police arrested Richard Sorge. They found him at his residence. He tried to destroy documents, but was stopped. The most successful Soviet spy in Japan had been caught. The German embassy was stunned. Their trusted friend and advisor was a Soviet spy. The embarrassment was profound. Sorge was interrogated for months. Japanese interrogators were skilled and brutal. Eventually, he confessed. He gave up the details of his network, though he tried to protect some of his sources. Ozaki also confessed. His betrayal was seen as particularly egregious, a trusted advisor to the Prime Minister working for the Soviets.
On December 7, 1941, while Sorge sat in a Tokyo prison cell, Japanese carrier aircraft attacked Pearl Harbor. America entered World War II. Everything Sorge had predicted came true. Japan struck south, not north. They attacked America, not the Soviet Union. Convinced now that Japan would not attack, Stalin made his move. He ordered 15 divisions, 1,700 tanks, and 1,500 aircraft moved from Siberia to the west. Fresh, well-equipped troops who had been guarding against Japanese attack. These forces arrived just in time for the Battle of Moscow in December 1941. Soviet troops counterattacked. The German advance was stopped. Moscow was saved. Historians debate how critical Sorge's intelligence was, but many believe it was decisive. Without those Siberian divisions, Moscow might have fallen. Without Moscow, the Soviet Union might have collapsed. If the Soviet Union had fallen, the entire course of World War II would have been different. Nazi Germany might have won. But Richard Sorge received no recognition. Stalin never acknowledged his intelligence. The Soviet government did nothing to help him. The German government, humiliated by the spy scandal, also refused to intervene. Sorge had betrayed the Reich. He deserved his fate. In 1943, Sorge and Ozaki were tried for espionage and treason. The verdict was never in doubt. Both were sentenced to death by hanging. For over a year, they waited in Sugamo prison. Sorge wrote his memoirs. He reflected on his life as a spy. He never expressed regret for his actions. On November 7, 1944, Richard Sorge was hanged. He was 49 years old. His last words were reportedly, "Long live the Red Army." Hatsumi Ozaki was executed the same day. For years after the war, the Soviet Union said nothing about Sorge. Stalin, paranoid as always, may have suspected Sorge had been a double agent. Or perhaps Stalin simply did not want to admit he had ignored Sorge's warnings in 1941. It was not until 1964, 20 years after his death, that the Soviet Union finally acknowledged Richard Sorge. He was posthumously awarded the title Hero of the Soviet Union, the highest Soviet honor. Streets and schools were named after him. He became a legend in Soviet intelligence. Today, monuments to Sorge stand in Russia and in the former East Germany. He is remembered as one of the greatest spies of the 20th century. Interestingly, even Japan has come to respect him. His grave in Tokyo is maintained. Japanese historians acknowledge his intelligence and courage, even though he worked against their country.